There is a third seminary, and it is the Conservative Baptist Seminary in Denver, where the courses in apologetics follow a different tradition, a tradition which in Presbyterian circles, they're Baptists of course, which in Presbyterian circles was represented by Hodge and Warfield. The mention of these seminaries and these professors indicates that apologetics is no easy subject. The latter two, that's Westminster and Conservative Baptist, the latter two, and indeed all three, make philosophically fundamental assumptions involving more than ordinary complexities. But as there seems to be no other than these three general possibilities, the answer to what apologetics is turns out to be a choice from among these three procedures. All of these procedures have one thing in common, and this concord can furnish a preliminary definition of apologetics. They all, in one way or another, seek to defend the truth of Christianity against the attacks of its enemies. But the three attempts to do this differ fundamentally from one another in their starting point, in the extent of the subject matter, and in their logical consistency. Since their very starting point is in question, each apologete must begin by showing that his Christian and his non-Christian opponents fail at the beginning. Some impatient students want so-called positive results immediately. They find the refutation of opposing views too negative, time-consuming, and almost worthless. Yet, the only way to support the choice of one of these procedures rather than another is to show that the others do not solve the problem. To counsel patience, to exhort the young student, and you all are pretty young. Why, none of you remember the sinking of the Titanic. You're just little children. I wager, this is most marvelous, miraculous, and incredible, I wager that not many of you even remember the Second World War. It's hard for me to believe. Yeah. None of you were at the Battle of the Bulge? Oh, and you don't know anything about Peenemünde? Oh, terrible. Oh. To counsel patience, to exhort the young student to studying long and hard, to stress difficulties in apologetics that even some mature apologetes underestimate, justifies a few more thoughts along this line. The Christian wishes in some way to defend Christianity. Now, in the world, Christianity competes not only with Buddhism, Islam, and Zen, and your seminary had the, I would say, the privilege of a man who wrote a pretty good book on Zen. He's no longer here. I keep up correspondence with him. I guess you all know him, don't you? But also, not only Islam, Buddhism, but also with Hegelianism, logical positivism, existentialism, and with what other philosophical systems there may be. Since these systems use history, physics, psychology, linguistics, and the entire college curriculum, the Christian apologete must have definite views and detailed arguments on all these subjects. Therefore, Apologetics cannot be so narrowly restricted to a few popular points, nor so sharply distinguished from science and philosophy as some Christians think. Apologetics must be a comprehensive philosophy. This needs emphasis, not only among evangelicals at large, but even among those more closely connected with Calvinism. To confront secular systems, the Christian must present a system. Christianity is a system. And the ministers in traditional Presbyterianism, and in the denomination of which I am a member, acknowledge in their ordination vows that they accept a system of doctrine. The value, indeed the indispensable necessity of a system, can be illustrated from military annals. A single military action must attack some particular strong point at a given time. But to do so effectively, it must be part of a larger campaign. And the larger campaign must be governed by a plan that includes the whole war. And you don't even remember World War II. Now, Winston Churchill has 6 big volumes on World War II. Please read all 6. And see that he had a system. And it's just too bad that Franklin D. Roosevelt tried to undermine the system, and he agreed most with it, but he made some awful blunders. We are indebted not to Franklin D. Roosevelt, but to Winston Churchill. Not to speak of World War I or World War II, which you don't remember either of them. I'll take something maybe you do remember. Our Civil War. Our Civil War was directed by an overall strategic plan. McClellan defended Washington. He did a good job of that, but he didn't do a good job of anything else. And he was supposed to do something else. McClellan defended Washington. Grant cleared the Mississippi and captured Vicksburg. Rosecrans fought from Nashville to Chattanooga, where again Grant defeated Bragg, and Sherman marched through Georgia from Atlanta to the sea. You know what song I'm quoting there? You don't even know the national songs. Where did you grow up? Probably. God save the Queen and heaven bless the maple leaf forever. Well, I don't expect you to know our Civil War songs if you're a Canadian, but just let's raise the maple leaf. So too, as McClellan defended Washington, we must defend our base, the truth of Scripture and its main doctrines. But we must also attack secular science, secular historiography, and secular linguistics. The foundation of a strategy to meet all objections against Christianity is definitely technical. It is not a matter of ordinary, everyday conversation.